Hey folks, Jimmy here, aka Pal Over Dead. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the latest issue of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine. Now, as per usual with all these videos, if you like them, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, drop me a comment down below. I love hearing back from you guys. It goes a massive way to helping out the channel too. Now, this week we're on issue 31 of Stormbringer magazine, and we have some new Stormcast Eternals to get to grips with. So these are the Vigilors. They are the bowmen, the long-range assault guys for the Stormcast Eternals. You get 5 of them. You do have some extra parts, so you have extra bows on these sprues. You have alternate heads and a couple of other bits. The good thing with that type of thing is, if you feel confident with it, you can file off certain bits to make it look like it is just a weapon on its own. And you can use that as part of your objective markers and stuff like that if you wish to, which is always quite fun and quite a bit of a weird thing and a challenging thing to do as well at the same time. But yeah, it can be done, so not too bad. But I'm really looking forward to getting goes with those guys. So we get 5, which is an entire unit. I have ordered an extra lot of those, which will turn up, I don't know when, sometime soon hopefully. And yeah, I'm looking forward to having extras because it'll be good fun. So really cool stuff. But I do like these ones, they look pretty cool as well. Going into the issue though, first off we're greeted by the Seraphon, aka Lizardmen, as they used to be known in old Hammer terms. So the Seraphon are starfaring warriors created by mysterious powers eons ago to be the ultimate weapon against chaos. While reptilian in appearance, the cold-blooded warriors of the Seraphon are disciplined and focused. They will stop at nothing until corruption has been scoured from the realms with blade, tooth and claw. So, every warrior of the Seraphon has been bred for war. Aboard their great temple ships, battalions of muscle-bound saurus and darting skinks emerge from spawning pod pools ready to fight. The ruling class of the Seraphon are the super-intelligent Slan, who follow the great plan in all things. To the people of the realms, the Seraphon can seem cold and uncompromising. However, the Seraphon are among the oldest and most zealous allies of Sigmar and the Grand Alliance of Order. So, the Seraphon, aka Lizardmen. So if you go through Old Hammer, the Lizardmen used to live in these temples and ziggurats in Lustria, in the kind of a New World area, and they're very, in all honesty, a lot of their look is obviously inspired by like the Aztecs and the Mayan culture in real world terms, and yeah, they look like giant walking lizards and dinosaurs and everything like that, and they are pretty damn cool. I like these guys. They have their skink shaman, who will be covered in feathers. They have a Slam, who look just like massive toads, really. So they're huge amphibian creatures. They use mystical powers and everything like that. And they have big beasts, including things like the Stegodon. They have the Carnosaur and stuff like that as well. So really good stuff. A super cool race. As I say, genuinely one of my favourite races in the entirety of Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar. The Seraphon are pretty neat because, you know, who doesn't like dinosaurs, really? But yeah, really cool stuff. Pretty good fun. Moving forward though, we get more history. So history part 7, the Stormbringer Crusades. So despite Sigmar's early victories, much of the mortal realms remains wild, dangerous and cruel. It falls to the brave Stormbringer Crusades to once again make the realms a place in which mortals can live. So, the mortal realms are a nightmarish place, even before the Age of Chaos. Magical danger was everywhere now, but all but a few islands of civilization are safe for mortals to inhabit. The landscape is twisted by dark energies and scarred by generations of war. Marauding raiders, desperate scavengers and supernatural predators stalk the ruins of fallen empires to feast on the weak and unwary. So, the Stormbringer Crusades, if you're not already aware, then the Stormbringer Crusades are basically the pushback into the realms from the Cities of Sigmar. So the Cities of Sigmar is also the newest kind of updated faction for Age of Sigmar. So the new humans, which I will grab one of my Cavaliers that's you know, primed and ready to be painted. So these are the new models. These are really cool as well, I like them. So yeah, the Stormbringer Crusades, basically they push forward. So if you read good old the Minion novel, or you get it on audiobook through like good old Audible or anything like that, you will learn more about the Stormbringer Crusades. So they generally they're sparked by a prophet or a prophecy. They then focus on pushing out, and they will head towards a nearest kind of siphon point for the nexuses, or nexi, or should you say, probably. So, and then they progress from there, and they build these settlements. Some of them settlements get overrun in the end and destroyed. Some of them become big cities and such like. So, and it's all about focusing on a better world for the humans and the mortals of the mortal realms to survive, and it's all part of the grand plan. So, but they're really cool. So, moving forward though, you get information about the Crusades of Gur, Ulgu, Chamon and Akshi as well. So each one focusing on a different area and focusing on different nexuses and different magical points, and will face many different challenges on their way depending on which realm you're in. Really cool. Then we have the Forges of Creation. So if you're unaware, obviously Azir is home to a vast network of magical forges. Here, weapons, armour, and the souls of Stormcast Eternals are refined and remade by master artisans. Metal from the core of the fallen world, the energy of living storms, and more are combined to create the tools that will liberate the mortal realms. So, among Azir's greatest treasures are its forges and arcane laboratories. These smiths here do more than just shape metal, they shape souls. It was in Azir that the great armies of Stormcast Eternals were made before Sigmar's storm. Here Sigmar's acolytes hammered the spirits of the realm's greatest heroes into immortal warriors. Now it is where the Stormcast Eternals are reforged when they fall in battle. The forges never fall silent. The Stormcast Eternals are always needed, and every second they are being reforged is a second they are not protecting the people of the realms. So, if you're unaware, Azir, the Realm of Heavens, is a very unique realm. It is based around the fallen world of Malleus, which Malleus is essentially the old world, really. So it is the Dying Star, it is the Twin-Tail Comet. It is also known as, so basically it draws energy from there to light the forges, kind of focus on the Anvil of Apotheosis, and provide Stormcast Eternals to the realms. And basically it also helps create their gear, so things like the Sigmarite armour and their Sigmarite Warhammers and their special equipment that they utilise as well. Really, really cool. So you get a bit more information about the Six Smiths. So the actual Six Smiths are led by Grunni, the dwarven smith god, who helped create the Anvil of Apotheosis, who created the armour that the Stormcast Eternals wear, and much, much more. So, really, really good stuff. But you get a bit more information about the Flight of the Soul, Remade in Lightning, and the Duty Unending from the Stormcast Eternals. Moving forward though, we get our sheet for the Vigilors. So this is our info sheet. So Vigilors act as rangers, pathfinders, and vital missile support units for the Stormcast Eternals. They venture ahead of the main force, mapping out territory and identifying weak spots in the enemy line. They excel at swiftly cutting down enemies, whether with magical arrows or deadly blades. And obviously with these pages you can do your usual, so you can give them their unit origins, you can give them a unit name, and their designation, their traits, and much, much more, and have a bit of fun with it, so you make your unit your own. Then we've got our how to build guide, obviously. So our how to build guide, fairly straightforward. Obviously you are going to have some parts left over. With you going through this how to build guide as well, you do have the options whether you want to have helmets or no helmets. Entirely up to you. I personally like both. I think they both look good. I think I am mostly going to go for no helmet, in all honesty, with this 5. The other 5 that I get later on, whenever that turns up, no idea, in all honesty. But, you know, I do like both options. Having both options makes it a bit more unique, a bit more you, and a bit more that you can do with it as well. The only thing I am going to say is with cutting out, kind of clipping off the bows from the sprue, they are going to be fragile. Be very, very careful. They will be a pain in the ass. They may snap, and putting them right is an absolute nightmare, but it can be done. Just don't worry too much about it. If you do snap it, a little bit of glue should fix it. Just hold it as straight as possible where the snap is. Glue, done. File it down a little bit, just get it back smooth, and hopefully it will be right as rain. But yeah, it's not the best, in all honesty, but you know, it looks better having a bowstring than not having a bowstring on these guys, so yeah, it just makes more sense. Your paint guide, if you're following the guide, makes more sense than you'd think if you're going for these guys, because it's the same colour scheme. Generally, if you've already been going through the paint guide for the last 30 issues and you've been doing your Stormcaster tunnels, this should be a doddle, so this will be very, very similar to what you've already done, so you're not going to have an issue with it, I'm absolutely sure. If, like me, you're going for a different storm host, obviously, you know, you've got some choices to make, whether you're going for different coloured robes or whatever you want to do. Now, that's always fun, and yeah, could be good. And when you're done with it, at the end of it, if you're following the guide, you're going to have a little bit of skin left over on show, so it's up to you how you want to go about doing it. And eventually what will happen is you'll get things like Reichland Flesh Shade, we'll get other fleshy tones and stuff like that to make it all look right. So don't worry about that too much. Then we move on, we've got our War Scroll for the Vigilors as well. So this obviously gives you your stats and rolls and everything like that. So whether they have a 4+ save, 6-inch move, they have 7 bravery, and they have 2 wounds each as well. So, you know, pretty good stuff. And also their stats for their attack power, and also how to utilise them as navigators as well. So makes life a little bit easier. Good stuff. Then for this week we have our pitched battle. So into the moor, pick out your army, whether you're going for the Alliance of Destruction and you're using your killer boss with Stabgrot, Swamp Caller Shaman with Potgrot, 10 Gut Rippers, a unit of 10 Hobgrot Slitters, another unit of 10 Hobgrot Slitters, and your Marsh Crawler Sloggoth. Going up against the Alliance of Order in the shape of a Knight Arcanum, Lord Imperatant, Stormstrike Chariot, our 5 Vigilors, our 6 Gryph-hounds, now we can make all 6, the 5 Vindicators, and 4 Praetors. Pretty cool, but yeah, really good. And otherwise though, you can have a bit of fun with it, so you can get your line in there as well. You also have a Maw as well, which will be a bit different as well, whether the Maw can open and crunch down any armies that are standing too close to it, and much more. So yeah, not bad, pretty cool, and it should be good fun. So not bad at all. Moving on to next week though, next week we have our Moon Clan shooters. Now, 20 models. This is a lot of painting. These are only little guys though, so it shouldn't be too bad. So these are our grots. If, like me, you've ordered a second set, or you want to get your hands on a second set of them, you can make these into the stabbers as well. So it is entirely up to you which one you want to go for, stabbers or shooters, or get both and have both. Really good, makes it a bit more fun and a bit more enjoyable as well. Gives you a bigger army, so which is always nice. Issue 33 though is our Knight Judicator with his 2 Gryph-hounds. We find out more information about the Blades of Khorne and the Realm of Chaos as well. So good stuff, a lot of good stuff to look forward to with the magazine, and obviously more and more minis to keep us busy over the winter months that are coming up. But with all that said, thank you very, very much for watching, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye bye now.